Hello everyone and welcome back to Tech 5 Production. Are you sick and tired of thin and light laptops being just the form factor and size that you need, but don't have the powerful spec under the hood? What you want is thin, light and powerful, right? Look no further than this. The laptop we'll be going through today is the ASUS ROG Flow X13. So this is the more traditional design of the Flow series, with it having the laptop body as opposed to the other variant, the Z13, that have more the tablet design. Pricing for the ROG Flow X13 is priced at 7,999 ringgit or 8,000. We'll go through its design, features, specification and performance to see if the Flow X13 is worth it at its price. Since at this price point, there's actually quite a lot of choices in the market. Oh, and before going through more of the inside of the ROG Flow X13, let's go through some of the accessory that comes included with the Flow. With the first one being the ROG Flow sleeve bag that comes included with both a bag for the Flow itself and one more for the potential ROG XG Mobile that you can get for this laptop. Then you'll also get the ASUS Pen 2.0, which we'll talk about it a bit more later on. And its power adapter is included too, which is a 130 watt Type-C power adapter, which is great since Type-C power adapters are generally small and light, which is a perfect fit for the Flow X13. Now that we've gotten the accessories out of the way, let's begin by going through the exterior design of the Flow X13, with it having a very simplistic design on the exterior, having a sort of carbon fiber look to it. And the weight of the laptop being only weighing in at 1.3 kg certainly makes it feel like it's made from carbon fiber too, which is certainly a plus. In terms of dimension, the Flow itself isn't too big as most of the bezel on the screen are thin, except for the one at the bottom here, where it's quite big. I imagine it's likely because ROG was trying to make the touchpad, mousepad over here bigger, but it definitely looks a bit off if you have a real good look at it since it's quite thick. Now, opening up the lid and cover of the Flow 13, we'll be greeted to a nice keyboard layout along with quite a big touchpad. The keyboard typing experience is actually not too bad for a laptop of this form factor. Now, although the keys traveling is not too much, it feels quite tactile and gives us an overall nice typing experience. Here's how the keyboard typing sounds like. And for the touchpad, it's nice and large and has a very smooth surface on it, making it very easy to use. I would say the touchpad in some ways may be a bit too big, that I find myself accidentally resting on it while I'm typing. Of course, the gesture that's normally supported by Windows 11 will work here too, like the normal swipe up for the windows to come out and etc. etc. Now moving up a bit, let's talk about the screen that's presented here. The screen here is also a ROG Nebula display, similar to the ROG Scar 18 we reviewed previously. It's a 13-inch IPS display with a screen resolution of 2560 by 1600. It runs on 165Hz refresh rate and has a response time of 3 milliseconds, with G-Sync supported too if you're opting for an adaptive sync display. And similar to the previous Scar 18, it also has a brightness of 500 nits, making it perfect for outdoor use too. And since the Flow is a thin and light laptop, bringing this outside to use is quite a treat and is quite easy to bring around. On the topic of the screen, the Flow X13 is actually a convertible laptop. So the screen is able to be flipped around, making it to have a standing mode like this. That may be more suitable for use in things like presentation. It could also be flipped around to be used in a form factor that's similar to a tablet, like this. And on the topic of tablet usage, since ASUS also included the ASUS Pen 2.0, which for an included pen stylus, it actually works really well. Drawing with it on software such as Photoshop works great. And overall, I say it comes quite close to even competing with the likes of something from Wacom. Only thing I kind of wish is that there's a space or a slot to put in the ASUS Pen, but I believe the Flow is a bit too thin for that, so yeah, you can't really do that, but it'd be nice if it can. Next, moving to the side of the Flow X13, let's go through the I/O and ports on this laptop. At the right side of the X13 over here, you'll get its heat vents, that's one of it, and a USB 4.0 40 gigabits per second Type-C that is also able to act as a DisplayPort 1.4 that runs on the integrated GPU of the processor, and it also acts as a charging port for this laptop. Next to that, there's a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-A. Thank you for giving us a USB Type-A port because it's still very much in use. Then let's move on to the left side of the X13, and the first port would be this cover over here, which hides the connector for the ASUS ROG XG Mobile, which we briefly talked about in the ASUS ROG Ally review video that you can check out over here. One of the ports of the XG Mobile port over here can be directly used as a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C and can also be used as a DisplayPort 1.4. And for this one, it will be using the dedicated GPU of the RTX4050 that we'll talk about a bit later too. And you'll be able to charge your laptop with the port over here as well. Next to that is something that most video editors and photo editors will be glad to see, and it's a micro SD card slot. And although it's not a full-size SD card slot down here, it's certainly a lot better than not giving an SD card slot at all. So, good touch. Besides that, you can find a HDMI 2.1 that will also use the dedicated GPU of the laptop for the display output. And finally, you get a standard 3.5mm audio combo jack for all your audio needs right here. Sadly, there is no Ethernet port support for the Flow X13, but it will have a great wireless connectivity support, with it having the latest standard of Wi-Fi 6E along with Bluetooth 5.2 for all your wireless connectivity needs. Okay, let's check out the back and the underside of the Flow X13 to check out its cooling. Since with an AMD Ryzen 9 along with the RTX 4050 under the hood of this laptop, it's important for the cooling to be sufficient. Let's have a look at the main cooling of the Flow X13 with the back over here having two big vents to expel hot air out of the laptop. And all the hot air expelled out will be expelled backwards, ensuring that you won't feel much heat around the main chassis area of this laptop. Opening the underside of the Flow X13, you can see two ROG arc flow fans. The thermal compound used on the CPU and GPU will be using liquid metal for better heat transfer, and they'll be connected through the heat pipe that leads to these three large heatsink areas at the vents. But importantly, the question then comes again, does it all work? On normal usage, like typing this script and having YouTube running in the background, temperature of the Flow X13 hovers around the 50-degree mark, which is not too bad for a laptop of this form factor. When it's under load, where we tested it out looping Cinebench R23, the temperature of the CPU hovered around the 80-degree point, which is pretty good too. But be aware that the amount of heat expelled near the rear and the right side of the laptop can get quite intense, so make sure you don't put anything that blocks off the vents of this laptop. And the fan noise that it can make is pretty loud too when it's under load. Just have a listen to this. But the upside for all this is that, of course, you can be sure that this laptop won't overheat even while you're doing things such as video editing or 3D rendering if you ever need to use this laptop to do all those tasks. Right below that too, you can see where the battery is located at. The battery here is a 75 watt-hour battery which is quite big for such a thin laptop. And in my real-world usage and tests, where I mainly use the Flow X13 to write up this review and have some extra Google tabs open along with YouTube, opening in the background for music and podcasts. The mode running here would be the ASUS silence mode in half brightness. With those things, I managed to get about 3.5 hours out of the battery, which isn't too impressive, but I think that's okay. For a laptop that packs so much horsepower under the hood, this is to be expected, I think. Let's go through some other features that is not really spec related, but will affect your user experience of using this laptop. Let's go through its built-in speakers of the Flow X13. Now the laptop comes with two built-in external speakers. ASUS calls it the Smart Amp speakers, where it allows the speaker to produce sounds of up to 2.85 times louder than a not Smart Amp speakers. Now, it also supports Dolby Atmos for better audio enhancement. But in our opinion, the speakers here are certainly decent for a two-speaker setup laptop, but since there's only two of them, it definitely lacks some punch into them. Why don't you guys tell us what you think while we play you these audio clips from the laptop? Then let's talk about its webcam and mic. And straight up, I'll just say that this is perhaps one of the best built-in webcam and mic combo I have seen in a laptop. The webcam is a 1080p camera with great picture clarity and smooth recording. Then the mic audio over on this laptop is clear and loud and doesn't sound like a built-in mic at all actually. And the nice part for the mic is that it comes with different modes for different use cases, and it even has an AI noise cancelling mode for you to filter out background noise such as a clap or maybe a baby crying.
Yes. Now, maybe you hear the sound now since that it's directly behind, but
And finally, we've come to the specification and performance of the ROG Flow X13, and mainly why you want to get this laptop for its thin and light size and of course performance. Our model here is the GB302XU, which has the AMD Ryzen 9 7940HS along with 16GB of DDR5 RAM, along with Nvidia's RTX4050 GPU and 1TB of Gen 4 NVMe storage. So how does all this combine into the real-world performance? Well, let's run through our usual benchmark with productivity and games and see how the Flow will perform. And for our games, we'll be running it in resolution of 1080p along with its native resolution of 1600p to see which will fit it better. So let's go! And that was the result of the benchmark. And I have to say, the results are certainly not too bad for a laptop of this form factor. Of course, if you ever need more power in the graphic side of things, or if you ever plan to use this laptop as your everyday carrying around laptop when you're out and about, and put it as your main home desktop use once you arrive home, the ROG XG Mobile is always an option. Since the processor of the Flow X13 is very powerful, it makes it a great option to upgrade for the laptop, especially when it comes to video editing or gaming. With the XG Mobile plugged in, even editing videos up to 4K resolution won't be really much of an issue, as confirmed by our video editor. So who do we think the ASUS ROG Flow X13 is for? Well, we think with its thin and light form factor, but great spec that's underneath it, it's perfect for the working man that needs to travel a lot, but still want to game or work when they are away. Perhaps you're a pilot, or a salesman who needs to go outstation a lot, or even an expat that needs to frequently travel back and forth from and to away from your country. This is a great choice to consider. It allows for maximum convenience of portability without sacrificing much on the performance side of things. And its other peripheral, such as its keyboard, speakers, and webcam, are all packaged nicely together with the laptop, letting you feel what you have over here is something that was very well made. That's all for our look at the ASUS ROG Flow X13 laptop. Will you ever consider getting yourself one? Tell us in the comments below. And if you find this video helpful, do remember to share it to all your friends and family who also might be interested in finding a laptop that is light and powerful. Be sure to like this video if you like it, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!